I mean, rejection is never a nice thing if you look at it from either side. But well, I mean, it's easier said than done. It will take time to get over it, and it will be hard. There will be moments where you're just like depressed, or but there's always a way out. There's always a way out, and if you always got to remember that there's other people out there too. Just because you've been rejected by one person doesn't mean that's it. And again, like you're not defined whether whether you're dating or not. So yeah.
I mean, like, at least for me in high school, it was honestly a lot of ice cream and Netflix. But I mean, at least for like this year, I've been learning a lot more about like I can have courage and um, like solace or like refuge in the fact that there will be someone in the future, because like maybe it's not part of God's plan, and I can deal with that if that comes to be. But for me, I want to be in a relationship, so I am praying to God that He will eventually present that. So I'm currently, since I'm single, I am finding solace that there will be someone in the future who is actually right for me, and not just someone that I choose. It's yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, again, it's different for everybody. It's like a form of grief, rejection, I guess. You're losing somebody, so yes, it's grief. But for me, it was a lot. Like in high school, it was a lot of music and just listening to sad songs, I guess. And then getting back to that place. But recently, I've been trying to focus on not the fact that say this person doesn't like me for the way they like I am, or wondering, focusing on the fact that there's something wrong about me that they don't like, because the person that God's going to bring into my life is going to love me for every part of who I am. And learning to start building into a relationship with God before you get into a relationship is so important, because Jesus has to be the center of your relationship. So you need to know who God is before getting into a relationship, is just my personal opinion.
For me, the way like I dealt with it, obviously not the greatest way to do it, but like I usually don't really like processing stuff. So if it happened, I would usually, yes, be sad for a moment, lots of music like Josh, but then I would just like try to move on and just go on with something else so that my mind wouldn't keep going over that same thing. So like not getting myself into a hole because I'm thinking like, oh, why am I not good enough for this person or anything like that. I would just carry on like 2 days after or something like that. Just go on. Like, yeah, it's not the greatest thing to do, but I'm working on changing that up.
What about any of the Bloom leaders? How did you guys deal with rejection? None of us have been rejected, obviously. I'm kidding. I think for me, I actually took it as like a growing opportunity. And I'd be like, kind of like, be like, I can become stronger from this sort of thing. Or even if like, let's say I asked a guy out and he said like no, then I'd be like, well, you know what, at least now I like have an answer, and I'm not just like mulling it around in my brain and like thinking about it all the time. Like at least now I know, and I can move on, and I can just like keep going. So I think I really just took it as opportunities to, just grow and just move on from something that wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, like I've never been outright rejected by a guy, but I've like come to realize many times like, oh, this person is not interested in me. And so I found that like in like my own unhealthy patterns is just like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like just like trying to pinpoint something. But then how I've dealt with that is really just like looking back into the past and looking to people who have valued me and have said things like, supportive to me, and just really praying into that and like calling myself back to understanding who I am in God and who I am to other people, and knowing that this one person, if it matters, they're not God, and they shouldn't be the be all end all of my value as a person. So then just taking that as a growing opportunity to further understand who I am, further understand who God is, and just pour into that, like kind of building up for becoming ready for the right person.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that was our last question. Our hat is empty. So yeah, thanks for coming. Is there any other questions that you girls have? You can send them as a private chat to me if you'd like, or just say them out loud. Or maybe there's no questions. All right, awesome. Do any of the Bloom leaders have questions? No? All right, awesome. Well, thank you.
I have a question for Jay.
For who?
For Jay.
Okay.
Did it hurt when you fell out of heaven?
It actually hurt a lot. 'Cause I had to leave heaven, like heaven's the greatest place. I had to freaking leave there. It hurt.
That's...
But Jay,
All right, I'm done.
Jay, are you sure you didn't get kicked out?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I'm leaving now. That hurt. Okay, bye.
That's the biggest form of rejection Jay's experienced in his entire life.
We practiced that one 2 days ago, so I'm sure he understands.
It's still a little
The
raw.
only reason we invited Jay was so we could bully him.
You want to
Awesome. Well, if you girls want to stick around and chat, you can. Otherwise, if you have lives, you can leave. I'm sure you do. So, yeah, you can head out whenever you want. And then, yeah, same with you guys. Thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate all the input you had. And, yeah, you guys had great advice. I'm glad that no one said anything bad. So thanks for that. And, yeah, I think the girls really appreciated it as well. So that's awesome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.